Hi, welcome to the startup process. Music has always been a very integral part of our societies. Since ancient times, a nation's music was thought to be the most popular form of expression. And from the first instrument, the bone flute, from caveman times, music has definitely come a long way. Today, we have a multitude of professions, products, and services surrounding music. Many things to help us enrich the entire experience around music and musical expression. Of these, perhaps the most rapidly growing in popularity is probably Spotify. The audio streaming service has recently taken the world by storm by redefining the entire music experience for swaths of customers worldwide. But how exactly did it get here? And what does it have in store for us all? Let's dive into that. Spotify came about in 2006, over 1.5 decades ago, although it is only recently that the service has skyrocketed in terms of its popularity. Back then, the only service that had previously existed and provided a peer-to-peer sharing capability was Napster. Napster, however, was greatly scrutinized, and after a barrage of lawsuits by America's leading music record companies and publishers, Napster was in a lot of trouble. The internet was rapidly reshaping the world, yet there was still a vacuum when it came to the music industry. Even internet radio was not that popular, nor did it offer any exciting prospects apart from conventional radio. There were a lot of eyes on this vacuum, particularly those of two young Swedish entrepreneurs, Martin Lorentzon and Daniel Ek. After getting frustrated by not being able to listen to a wide range of music, the two thought about making a platform where this problem would potentially be solved. Hence, the idea behind Spotify took birth. They observed Napster and iTunes to see why both were not the perfect option for music lovers. On one end, Napster was very cheap and convenient to use, however, illegal. On the other end, Apple's iTunes were too expensive at around $2 a track, making the entire experience too unaffordable. To reach the perfect compromise, Spotify focused on the area in the middle of these two extremes. Among the major issues was affordability. Spotify had to learn a way to make the tracks affordable to music lovers whilst also realizing a profit. Secondly, it had to consider legality. Napster was great and all, but Lorentzon and Ek did not want to become music pirates. Furthermore, since Napster made peer-to-peer sharing possible, there was also an issue with quality that Spotify had to consider, since pirated tracks were often of questionable quality. One more thing that was a concern was the convenience of the entire experience. Spotify did not want the process to become a cumbersome procedure for customers, so downloading songs was going to be a big no. With so many considerations to be made, Lorentzon and Ek had to make clever decisions before anyone else could realize this market gap. In 2006, within just 4 months of the initial idea, Lorentzon and Ek had come up with a working prototype for their venture. The service was internally tested to check if there were any flaws. All the problems thus far with platforms such as Napster were addressed. This was going to be known as Spotify AB, the company's initial product, which was to be operated in Sweden. After the prototype had been internally tested, it was time to receive real-time feedback. To limit any negative perceptions whilst still technically in the testing phase, Spotify was brought into a closed beta format in 2007. This meant that whilst it was available to the public, it was not available at large, and the pace of growth was largely restricted. This was done thanks to the need for approval from an existing user. Basically, Spotify was not out in the mass market. Rather, you had to be invited by a person who already had the app and could only then sign up with and benefit from Spotify as a user. This principle allowed Spotify to avoid any negative market placement should any problems occur, and also allowed them to more personally analyze user experiences in depth. Simultaneously, it helped the company avoid any initial legal liabilities before it could fully develop its business model. Unlike with Napster, Spotify created a legal working relationship with music record companies and labels. Thus far, it was either piracy or direct purchase of physical media. The price for using the app was set at $10 for monthly online streaming, whilst for every song that would be downloaded, the company or individual with rights to that song would receive a royalty payment. This took away the legal problems associated with the company's business idea. Now, everything was to be centered around the user experience here on out to make the $10 spent seem worth it to customers. Spotify still needed to find a way to justify the cost, since users still had the option of downloading pirated songs for free. The frictionless experience with using Spotify was to become the main differentiator between it and free music. There was a key focus on marketing the product right, and Spotify's founders reached out to music bloggers across Sweden to interest them in the product. Luckily, the development phase was done so well enough that the product kicked off amazingly and the bloggers genuinely loved the experience. This helped target just the right niche, since many of these bloggers directly impacted music enthusiasts who went crazy for Spotify as customers, but those with technical expertise also went on to seek employment opportunities within the company. This allowed Spotify to expand and improve its services by enriching the experience further through constant upgradation. Just a year later, in 2008, Spotify was finally officially launched in Sweden after raising $85 million in funding. Often in business, timing is everything. So was the case with Spotify, as piracy was making the conventional music industry undergo a rapid decline. There was a dire need to reintegrate itself with technological innovation as the age of the internet peaked. Subsequently, Ek reached out to the Big Four label companies in the US, including Sony, EMI, Warner, and Universal. Subsequently, in exchange for equity in Spotify, these labels and some others decided to allow Spotify to use their back catalogs. By 2011, Spotify had expanded well beyond Sweden, and with more than 10 million tracks available to its users, it was becoming the new face of the music industry. Gradually, it partnered with giants like Coca-Cola and Chevrolet to bring the platform to the US. Once it made it to the US, Spotify grew exponentially and took the entire world by storm. Until now, the four big labels had only contracted with Spotify to provide services outside the US. The digital distribution industry resulted in rapid plummets in the Big Four's conversion rates. Spotify was seen as the savior of the music industry. Finally, after renegotiations, Spotify kicked off in the US around 2011. Spotify continued to work towards enriching the customer's experience beyond just the availability of a wide range of tracks. With customizable and shareable playlists, allowed the entire platform to become more interactive and beyond the idea of just listening. Spotify went on to further streamline the process by reducing the sign-up hassle. It allowed users to sign up using Facebook to reduce users' reluctance to do so. This was such a brilliant move that its users went up by 1 million in just 4 days. Here on out, there was no need to restrict the number of users, as Spotify literally became the revolution in the world of music. So, through careful market analysis, perfect market entry timings, amazing positioning, uncompromising product, constant innovation, and brilliant strategic intuition, Spotify made its place in the world of music as a platform that redefines the modern music industry. Its restricted accessibility at first helped prevent unregulated growth, allowing it time to perfect itself completely. Currently, Spotify Premium allows users an even more refined experience, one shareable with family and friends. This collective enrichment has been a key to